This is what we talk about when we talk about real death on screen.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of What We Talk About When We Talk About Film. I'm Dan.
I'm Benny.
Today we're going to be discussing real deaths on screen.
What we mean by real death is not a cinematic death, but an actual life passing live on screen that was recorded by filmmakers.
Yeah, intentionally recorded and included in the film.
This is quite a divisive subject, and it's quite heavy as well. So we want to be as gentle and as appropriate about it as we can. So we're not gonna use any footage of any films that we're talking about here today.
Yeah.
So you can carry on watching.
So guys, what have you got in front of you? You're going to watch an excerpt from a film called The Cove. It's a documentary film, and it's made in 2009. It's about like whaling and the fishing industry, like in Japan, kind of like around the world, mainly like in Japan. So what you will see is like footage of whales and like dolphins, I think in this one, actually like being killed. So what you're going to see now is a documentary clip called Electrocuting an Elephant, where there's this circus elephant from back in the 30s and was starting to attack people, so they were going to put this elephant down. The way they were going to do is that they were going to hang this elephant. So Thomas Edison stepped in and said, like, why don't we electrocute this elephant? And such, like, this is how this documentary was kind of born. So what you're going to see now is a clip of an elephant being electrocuted. How's that elephant one?
It was pretty bad. I'd never seen it before. I'd heard of it, but I don't know, because so there just wasn't sound even.
There was actually no sound for this one. I realized.
Kind of makes it like kind of more graphic without sound, because it's left to your imagination. But yeah, I think the worst one for me was The Cove. I thought that was incredibly graphic. Like.
With the sea of blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
So what happened in The Cove is these Japanese fishing boats or whatever were in this part of the sea, and they just like fished the dolphins right out and killed them, right?
Yeah.
And by the end, like the whole the water was completely red. For me, the elephant was a lot more surreal. Especially because the elephant was executed in like a human way. Like an electrocution is terrifying to me in general. But yeah, The Cove, that was a lot of blood.
Yeah, well, I think as well, like when you see like fish being caught, it's just like in a net, like there's no, but these ones, they had like those, it was like this hook thing, and they would like hook the dolphins onto the boat.
Yeah.
It's heavy stuff. Like
we see animal deaths all the time. We just deem it natural because we just know that kind of stuff just happens. Like pigs getting slaughtered. That's how you get meat, right? Dolphins is surreal because we don't, because in our culture that's not a thing. We don't see dolphins die a lot. Death is we don't know anything about death. We know it's the last moment of your life, and then that's that, and you're not there anymore. And because of that moment is so like crucial and scary in our lives. Like we spend our whole lives fearing death. That watching one on screen happening is just, I think it's terrifying.
For me, the best representation of death is just like Planet Earth, cheetah attacking a gazelle. For me, that's the most objective, because you're not intruding into anything. You're just witnessing it. It's just nature taking course for me.
So we've discussed like a real death on screen in a non-fiction context, and like now we're about to move on into a fiction context. So you're about to watch a scene from Apocalypse Now where a bull dies.
Okay, and what's the other one?
The other one is from a film called Cannibal Holocaust. In this, they hack up a turtle.
thought that would be worse.
General feelings about like the death in Apocalypse Now. Like, how does that feel? What do you feel about it?
For me, the experience was different to the non-fiction one, because now the death is part of a bigger narrative. It now becomes, especially in Apocalypse Now, is symbolic, because the scene of the bull being killed is cross-cut with a big narrative point. It's really dramatic camera work and lighting, which is obviously part of fiction film, as well as the music. You have this like crazy Doors track over it all. It's different, isn't it? It's framed differently to the non-fiction deaths.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but there's also the element that it's really true. It's happening there, and that is quite. I mean, it's quite graphic. I think that like.
It is very graphic.
Do you enjoy that scene?
I think it's a good scene. I think it's a good scene because what I was saying about the cross-cutting, it creates a parallel between a death of a character and the death of the bull. Do I enjoy seeing the scenes of the bull just being decapitated? No. I mean, I think the way he shoots it is quite interesting. He shoots the whole bull. It's not like a close-up of the neck or anything. But still, even with this kind of long shot, you still see a lot. And it's still quite graphic.
For me, it's weird because I wanna have this like real, really strong emotions about this whole thing, both in non-fiction and fiction. But I just feel desensitized. I just feel tired, and that could be because morality. Like my conscience tells me that I should feel bad about this whole thing, but we just see so much violence all the time, so I don't know if for me it works, even if it's real anymore.
So Apocalypse Now is a pretty famous film. Like, a couple have directed this. This is kind of like a film students like
the Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail. Cool. So, is art ever justification enough for death of this animal, like, on screen?
That's the question for me. Like, that is the ultimate question. I don't know. Do you have anything?
Because you can approach this from two perspectives. One is if you think that the act of killing itself is the controversial bit, or screening it and putting it in a film for everyone to see. Because death is a momentary thing. But by film on screen, it's immortalized.
The line is capturing a death that would have happened otherwise without the involvement of the filmmaker. So, I mean, I'm not sure about the circumstances around the death of Apocalypse Now. So me personally, I wouldn't, because if you purposely kill something, you're the cause of it. The film is the cause of the death. So I wouldn't, I don't know, I don't stand by that, but I wouldn't mind including a death that was going to happen anyway. That your presence doesn't influence it.
In fiction film, it doesn't happen anyway. In fiction film, it's all in the script. It all has to happen.
In Cannibal Holocaust, it's kind of black and white. They killed it, and it didn't have to be killed. I don't think it was ever going to be killed. Whereas, I mean, Strike is a narrative film. Strike is a fiction film. I'm guessing they were in some slaughterhouse and some cow was killed, and
So you're saying that you have to know the circumstances behind the film in order to judge it. What if you can't? What if you don't have access to that information and you just watch that film out of, just blank? You just watch this scene like we just did with no prior knowledge.
For me, that's part of the intrigue of film. I've been asking myself questions, which I think any good film will do.
This discussion kind of leads us into a place of like talking about ethics, right? So I mean, in terms of the stuff we've discussed, like real deaths on screen, like, are you against any of this?
Yeah, for me, yes.
Which part? Is it like the actual death of an animal or a person?
A death that is caused directly by the film or the filmmaker. That for me, that's a line in the sand.
So, if a person that is terminally ill comes along to you and asks you to like fictionalize their death, like their actual death on screen, so how do you feel about something like that?
I don't think I have any moral problems. I'd be scared, like I'd be really really scared about it. But I guess, I don't think art should have limits like that.
I don't think I would do it personally, but someone more qualified, I think. someone like, I don't know, I could picture like Michael Haneke doing something like this.
Okay, wait. So are you saying that certain filmmakers that are like good have the right to do stuff like that, and other filmmakers who are not good don't have the right to do that?
No, I'm not talking about rights. I'm talking about how they'll handle it with more class, with more dignity.
So you're saying that you might like it if Haneke did that in a film. You might enjoy that. Might think that's good for his art.
Yeah, I mean maybe. I mean we're talking about something hugely hypothetical, but
yeah,
it's like it's a unique selling point in a way, isn't it? It's like,
yeah,
and
I mean,
to be kind of great.
And it's a big taboo, and a lot of filmmakers wouldn't touch it. And it's clear to see why. You talked to me about the Gaspar Noé interview, I believe.
Yep.
What did he say?
It's like he wouldn't even show an insect being killed. Like he wouldn't show any kind of death.
Yeah.
So I mean we're discussing human death, but some filmmakers won't even show animal death.
I think, and this is what interests me most. It's not necessarily death itself, but the impact it has on audiences. There's something scary about not just recording death or an animal or a human being suffering, but it then being immortalized by repeated viewings and just like, so it becomes eternal.
Yeah.
So they can watch it as many times as possible. That's like basically making entertainment out of death.
Will real death ever be acceptable on screen, or is there any way you could see that being a thing?
It's a big taboo. Because of how scary it is.
At the moment, it is. I mean, because what I'm thinking about is like the Hays Code in Hollywood, and I mean that was like literally a line. Like it was a line in the sand. Things you cannot show in a film. And now, that's now years ago. That's like ancient history for us now. So maybe, in another 60, 70 years, who knows what we're going to be allowed to see.
There's a whole like censorship revolution going on still with like unsimulated sex and all these extreme acts in cinema.
Yeah.
But I don't know if death if death could ever be popularized, because that's just not fun. Like real death is not fun, and this is funny because fake death is fun. I mean, a lot of times, you enjoy these fight scenes and whatever in commercial films, but when it's real, you just take a step back. You go, oh, this is not fun anymore. I think it's just hypocritical. It's just pretentious to enjoy fake violence, but not enjoy real violence.
It depends on the film. I think it depends on context. Because you're saying we enjoy violence, we enjoy death, and that's in some instances that's true. But if you take some heavy art house films that actively seek to make you just suffer because of a death, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if in like a decade or two there was a film with someone actually dying in it.
We understand that this is a really heavy subject, and we perfectly understand if you have different opinions, so please let us know in the comments. Also, make sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Feel free to check out our Shelf of Shame section this week and find out who hasn't seen 8 Mile until recently.
Thank you for watching.
Come back next week.